Good morning, class. In last class, we were discussing about the food components, chapter number 2 of science. Now, we have studied till now the food items and what it contains. Nutrients. Nutrients are fat, protein, carbohydrate, vitamins, and minerals. Now, how this indicates means how we can identify these components are present in the food or not. This can be identified through testing. There are so many tests which are performed in lab. When you will come to the school, we will perform these experiments. Now I'll simply dictate you that how these experiments are performed. So there are so many ingredients or test solution needed for this experiment. Solutions such as iodine, copper sulfate, and caustic soda. You will also need a few test tubes and droppers for to perform this task. Now, there are so many things like starch, carbohydrates, and proteins. These three things we will test first. Now, the activity number 2 is given in your book. First, test of starch. Take a small quantity of food item, whatever the food you want to test, take that food item and then add few drops of iodine solution to it. After the observation or after few minutes, you just observe it, and if the color change of for the food item means if the color of food item change, if it turns blue black, then there is a presence of starch in the food. Now next test of protein. Now how this test is done. Take a test tube and then add few food items means small food item to it, whether you in the powder form or in crushed form. After that, add 10 drops of water and shake that test tube very well. After that, use a dropper and add copper sulfate. Add 2 drops of copper sulfate and 10 drops of solution of caustic soda to it. After keeping it rest for 2 to 3 minutes in the test tube stand, if the food items in the test tube turns violet, then there is a presence of protein in the food item. So there are two types. We had studied two tests, is starch test and protein test. Now we will come to the test of fat. How you can detect the test of fat? Take a small quantity of food item similarly and then wipe it with a paper, crush it, take care of the paper, do not tear that which paper you had used, do not tear it straight. Now now you have to experiment this on the paper. Does it leave the oil pistol? If the if that food which you have crushed by the paper, if it leaves oil on the paper, then there is a presence of fat. This experiment you can do by your own self by testing whether your hairs have oil or not. You just when you put oil and the paper you rub on the hairs, then the oil will be abstracted by the paper. Then at that case there is a presence of oil you can detect. Similarly, by food items, when you take the food items and you just crush that with a paper or dry that with the paper, if the paper get oil, then there is a presence of fat. These are the three experiments you can do. And now we will study what do various nutrients do from our body. This we will do in next class. Till here you all have to revise and come. Have a nice day, students.